Hello, this is Photography Gamer, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm reviewing Remnant 2. It's on PC, Xbox and PlayStation. Remnant 2 is a third-person action-orientated role-playing game developed by Gunfire Games. Okay, what's it like to play? Well, you start by creating your nameless character, and the options are not too bad, despite only being able to choose American voice actors for your character. The game is split into two main phases, exploring the procedural game world and heading home to upgrade your loadout. In terms of the controls, it's pretty sluggish for a sci-fi game. It has more in common with a medieval type of game like Dark Souls, with very deliberate movement, slow combat, and a war of attrition style gameplay as you explore these narrow levels. It's very slow and methodical, in particular when played in solo, but played with two other players, it definitely is an upgrade in terms of enjoyment, and it definitely evens the odds in regard to the enemy challenge. The enemy AI, I'd say, is not the best either, with quite dim enemies having very predictable patterns of movement, attacks and behaviour. Now, Remnant 2 uses a procedural design system, meaning you'll have a random order of regions to attack with unique storylines appearing within them. On paper, this sounds great, but in reality, it makes for a pretty underwhelming adventure, as none of the stories or regions had that X factor that a fully crafted and a fully cultivated world would have had. Explore a narrow area, kill low-level enemies, explore some more, kill a large enemy, get some loot, upgrade your gear, kill a boss, have a chat that makes almost no sense, etc. Once you've done this for about 10 hours, it really does become quite dull, I would say. And I'm a huge Remnant 1 fan. Even I struggled though with this to actually care about what was going on. On the plus side, you can re-roll the campaign if you want to get a new starting region or a new quest, but this again does not really alleviate the sheer boredom of this repetition. Now, one thing the developers hoped would alleviate this boredom was the archetype system. This gives you a starting class with unique weapons, armor, leveling path, etc. But do these archetypes make the game more interesting to play, or even to replay? Well, the short answer is no. Are they different enough to be considered genuinely unique? I would say not really. And as I said earlier, the sheer tediousness of the game world means that the archetype system doesn't really save the game from soul-destroying boredom. I'd also say the perk and trait system is poorly thought out and quite muddled, as with a lot of the menus and the loadout systems. Now, the hub, like I said, this is where you'll be adjusting all of these elements, and it is a nice large area with lots of people to talk to, and I would say the NPC conversations were actually some of the best moments of the game, but leveling up your gear, I would say, felt like a massive grind, like you go from one level to the next. The difference felt really insignificant. In terms of graphics, it's definitely an upgrade from Remnant 1, although this PC version did have some technical problems on release. I'd also say the animation work is pretty poor. As with Remnant 1, like your character is very over animated, which becomes a real problem when you're just doing basic things in combat. In terms of sound, the music is solid throughout. The voice acting on the whole, I would say, was fit for purpose, does the job. I wouldn't say it's exceptional stuff or an improvement on what came before though. Okay, good and bad points. What's good? The visuals are a marked improvement from the first game. The hub features some interesting characters and there are lots of unique items to discover, and the level design seems good at first. Bad points. The archetype system does not add replay value, despite the developers hoping it would. The procedural level design soon becomes repetitive, tiresome and predictable. The loadout screen is confused and muddled, and the general gameplay loop is very repetitive, very monotonous, and it does lack sort of a uniqueness that would make it stand out. Okay, verdict. Remnant 2 is a sequel that fails to improve on its predecessor in any area aside from visuals. The only noticeable difference is the archetype system, but that fails to add the replay value the devs intended. The main reason for this is the procedural design. After 10 hours or so, you've pretty much seen the code of the design, and no matter what archetype you choose, playing or replaying the procedural levels is very tedious. I was hoping for a sequel that really took the series to another level to fulfill its clear potential. Sadly though, my playthrough was littered with a perpetual sense of deja vu, either to Remnant 1 or to the visibly and structurally samey level design. So would I recommend it? Well, not right now. I'd wait a year. Pick it up for half price when it's on the sale, because at the moment I think you'll just be disappointed. It is not a bad game, don't get me wrong, and I am a big fan of the first game, and I did enjoy this for a certain amount of time, but very quickly it did become quite tedious, and I think that really has to be factored into the score. Personally, I think I did enjoy Remnant 1 a lot more. It felt fresh. This doesn't feel fresh, it feels like copy and paste, like with a new lick of paint and some minimal class additions that really do not do enough to make it elevate it from the previous game, but it's still quite playable, it's okay, but it is very limited in terms of how much you're actually going to enjoy it. Now scoring wise, you could score this anywhere between a 6 and a 7. If I'm being harsh, 6, but I do enjoy Remnant as a series, and I think this one they might be able to improve it over time. I'd probably give it a 6.5 at the moment. I can't quite recommend it because it's quite boring, I have to say. And I bought it on day one, which I rarely do with games, but I found myself getting very bored very quickly, which is not a good sign. So yeah, 6 out of 10 if I'm being harsh, 7 if I'm being generous, but I'll probably go 6.5, meet in the middle. Okay, that's the review. Thanks for watching. This is PG signing off. Cheers.